Welcome to a research-based resource from Merten Morgan Consulting. We are dedicated to sharing content that supports and empowers students, parents, and educators. This is a video in our Books Celebrating Diverse Readers series. In this video, I will review a book titled Islandborn. This story was written by Junot Diaz and illustrated by Leo Espinosa. The author was born in the Dominican Republic and moved to New Jersey with his family. He won the Pulitzer Prize for Fiction in 2008. When Lola's teacher asks the students in her class to draw a picture of where their families immigrated from, Lola is concerned. She doesn't remember the island she left when she was just a baby. She asks family and friends about their memories, and she learns beautiful and scary things about the island. At the end, Lola understands what it means to have a place inside her, even though she doesn't remember it. This is a cultural relevance rubric based on the work of David and Yvonne Freeman. It's available on NCTE's website, Read, Write, Think. I often use this rubric when selecting and discussing texts with diverse readers. The main characters in this story are Lola and her abuela. Other people include her mother, her cousin Leticia, and her neighbor Mr. Mir, who is also the building superintendent. In addition to her apartment building, we also see Lola in her classroom and in her neighborhood. She lives in a large city that has palm trees and other tropical plants. And we also see the island, which probably represents the Dominican Republic. A range of ages are depicted in Islandborn. Lola is in elementary school and her cousin Leticia is a young adolescent. We see adults in the neighborhood and older adults in Lola's building. Abuela and Mr. Mir have the most information about the island. The book is mostly in English with some Spanish words used in the text and in the illustrations of the city. The themes of biculturalism and family relationships are familiar ones. A unique element is the way Mr. Mir explains why people left the island by telling a story of a monster. In the beginning of the book, Lola's class is given an assignment by her teacher. Her teacher asks the kids to please draw a picture of the country you are originally from. Lola's school is a school of, quote, faraway places, because every kid in Lola's school is from somewhere else. As Lola talks to the people in her neighborhood, she learns many wonderful and exciting things about the culture of the island, including the people's love of music and dancing. Mr. Mir, Lola's neighbor and the building superintendent, at first refuses her request to talk about the island, saying, "Nobody cares about that old stuff. Just be glad you don't live there." After Lola's abuela intervenes with Mr. Mir's wife, he tells her the story of the monster which terrified the island and the brave people who fought it and finally banished it forever. Some readers have proposed that the monster represents an evil dictator. This is a unique way to describe the things that sometimes push immigrants toward other countries when they obviously love so many things about their home. Lola's abuela tells her that just because you don't remember a place doesn't mean it's not in you. And when Lola learns about a hurricane that hit the island when she was a baby, her mother tells her, "You might not remember the island, but it remembers you." Through her conversations with her neighbors and family, Lola learns that while bad things pushed many people away, they were brave for fighting the monster. Strategy: making inferences about a character. There's a lot of dialogue that carries significant meaning throughout the story. One strategy for examining characters more deeply is to identify dialogue, ask why the character said that, and then to infer what the character was thinking. When discussing the island at the barber shop, a boy says that not everything on the island was wonderful, including the extreme heat. The oldest barber muttered, and other things and turned away. A question could be, why did he say this, and why was he muttering? Another example is when Mr. Meir was describing the monster on the island to Lola. He says even those who know don't always want to talk about him. What does this mean? What does it tell us about Mr. Meir? Another example of important dialogue explaining a character comes towards the end of the story, when Lola says, "Thank you, Mr. Meir, slayer of monsters." What does this mean? What does it tell us about Lola and Mr. Meir? Visual thinking. The illustrations in this book lend themselves to the use of a picture splitter and viewing the picture in sections to make predictions and connect to prior learning. An image can be split using an online tool such as Pine Tools, and a thinking strategy to view each quadrant is the See, Think, Wonder strategy from www.visiblethinkingpz.org. Students can also make inferences about a character's thinking through dialogue using sketch notes. In an example like this one, the circle can be used to draw the characters' faces. The speech bubble could be used to draw and write about what a character says, and the thought bubble can be used to draw and write about what this means about the thinking. How can you use Islandborn with your diverse readers?